Are you the photographer? I'd like to book a session for a posthumous portrait. The voice on the other end of the line went quiet for a moment. I've never shot one of those before, he said, hesitating. I'll pay you triple your usual rate, I said with a slight hollow laugh. And there's one other thing. After I'm gone, I need you to scatter my ashes from the top of Rattlesnake Ledge. That's right. My life was on a countdown. And the woman I loved more than life itself was about to marry someone else. She had long forgotten that she once loved me just as deeply. Chloe came home smelling of cheap wine. The second she walked through the door, she demanded, "Where is it?" "The rope." I handed it to her. She used it to tie my hands to the headboard. Then she pushed me down onto the bed and started unbuckling my belt. Our most intimate moments were also the ones where she hurt me the most. Chloe and I were married, but not in any way that mattered anymore. She once loved me more than her own life, but a car crash 3 years ago changed everything. The moment the semi-truck jackknifed it into our lane, she shoved me out of the passenger door. I survived, but she and the car were sent careening off the cliff into the Sound. For 3 years, she was gone. I lived like a ghost. Chloe's parents were in poor health, and I couldn't bear to tell them the truth, so I held myself together, just barely, and took care of them. The police told me the chances of her survival were non-existent. My friends told me I was the love of her life and that they'd always see me as their brother-in-law. Even her parents tried to console me, telling me to move on, that the living had to keep living. I had almost accepted it, that the woman who loved me most was really gone. But 3 months ago, she miraculously appeared on my doorstep. Still tall, still beautiful, with that same gentle calm about her. Except the first words she said to me were, "I'm sorry, Mr. Cole. I don't know you." And the second were, "I'm getting married." I saw the man whose arm she was holding. He looked shy, innocent. You could see the easy intimacy between them. In those 3 years, Chloe had forgotten me and fallen in love with someone else. How was I supposed to accept that? I dragged her to all our old places, trying to spark a memory, try to prove how much we had loved each other, that we were the ones who belonged together. But every time, she would just look at me with cold, empty eyes. "Mr. Cole, I really don't remember." Eventually, that coldness turned to disgust. She hated me for using our past to guilt-trip her, for emotionally blackmailing her future, and for hurting the man she now loved. His name was Leo Vance. He was the one who found her washed up on the beach. They had lived together for 3 years. He took care of her, and slowly, she fell for him. Now, he was her entire world. I still knew that much about Chloe. Whoever she loved, she would protect with everything she had. It used to be me. Now it was him. When she was finished, Chloe quickly pushed me away and went to the window, her back to me. In the dim moonlight, all I could see was her dark silhouette. I knew she wasn't happy. "Ethan," she said, her voice strained. "When are you going to let me go?" I had made her a deal. Give me a child. One that belonged to just the two of us to have for the rest of my life. And I would walk away from this 3-person tragedy for good. I would let her and Leo be together. To be with Leo forever. Chloe agreed to my monstrous condition. But 3 months had passed, and she still wasn't pregnant. Her patience had run out. "Now," I said. Her hand froze. She looked at me, shocked. "What did you say?" I said, "Tonight was the last time. I'm letting you go." Chloe still didn't believe me. "What kind of trick are you planning now?" I smiled, a real smile this time, though it was filled with pain. For 3 months, I tried everything to make her remember me. Every attempt failed. Chloe had become terrified of my endless strategies, building a fortress around her heart to keep me out. So I said again, "Go, be with the man you love." And for these last few months, I'm sorry, I took a shower in the guest bathroom. Staring at the thick clumps of black hair circling the drain, I sank to the floor, a wave of agony washing over me. I knew chemo meant hair loss, but I never thought it would be this fast. Liver cancer, stage 4. I got the news a week ago. Cancer is often linked to emotional distress, the doctor had said. "Have you been struggling with your mental health for the past few years?" For 3 years, I'd been drowning in the shadow of Chloe's accident, unable to escape. I guess that was the trigger, but I couldn't blame her. I could only blame fate for taking the love of my life, and now for taking my life too. I knew the pain of losing the one you love. It's an agony so profound that you wish for death just to make it stop. So when I learned my own life was ending, I made a decision. I gave up. I couldn't let Chloe remember me now. If she remembered, only to have to watch me die, what would that do to her? I would rather she never remember me at all. That she could go on as she was, loving the man she loved now. Grow old with him. Be happy. I spent the next day and night in my old bedroom, flipping through the photo albums page by page. Us at the Oregon Dunes, the the sun blazing down. She was sticking her tongue out at the camera, goofy and carefree, while I smiled, using my body to shield her from the heat. At an overlook in the Cascades, she cupped her hands around her mouth and yelled, her voice echoing through the valley. Ethan Cole is a giant dork. I copied her, shouting back, yeah, and I'm her giant dork, and we collapsed into a fit of breathless laughter. In a field of wildflowers, she'd put on a flowing bohemian dress, and the wind caught the fabric, making her look like a butterfly about to take flight. After I took the picture, I immediately wrapped my jacket around her, feigning annoyance. Do all hippie girls dress this revealingly? And their boyfriends are okay with it? She laughed at me, telling me nobody said hippie anymore. I pulled her down into the grass and kissed her, and we both ended up with mouths full of dirt and petals. That evening, Mr. Henderson, the family's longtime housekeeper, came to call me for dinner. I gathered all the photos, locked them in the bottom drawer of a forgotten filing cabinet, and went downstairs. Chloe had told me she never wanted to see those pictures again. To my surprise, she was there. Her face was dark, her mood storming. Why are you back? I asked. Didn't you go see Leo? Her eyes were practically spitting venom. What did you say to him? I was confused. You called him yesterday, she seethed. And ever since, he's been missing. I did call him yesterday afternoon, but all I said was, I'm out. I wish you and Chloe the best. I don't know why he'd be missing, I said. Did you call the police? In a flash of fury, Chloe grabbed a wine bottle from the counter and smashed it at my feet. Shards of glass flew everywhere, embedding themselves in my calves and ankles. The pain was sharp, electric. She pointed a trembling finger in my face like a caged lioness. Ethan Cole, I swear to God, if anything happens to Leo, I will make you pay 100 times over. I was actually a little curious how she planned to make me pay. Chloe found Leo at the same stretch of coastline where they first met. His disappearance was nothing more than turning off his phone and going to watch the full moon rise over the water. How did I know? Because Leo sent me a picture. Him and Chloe, wrapped in a tight embrace on the beach where he'd found her. They were looking up at the moon together. His jacket was draped over her shoulders. I didn't want to think too hard about why Leo had staged this little drama. Maybe it was to prove he was more important to her than I was. Or maybe it was just a simple show of dominance, a warning to back off. I traced the outline of Chloe's face on my phone screen. I'll back off, I whispered, but not because of Leo's pathetic power play. It was because I want you to be happy. After the disappearance stunt, Chloe and Leo were more inseparable than ever. That weekend, she brought him home for dinner with her parents. Her father was not pleased. He made his displeasure known by slamming his silverware down on the table. Do you have to bring him here just to torture Ethan? He demanded. I know you don't remember Chloe, but to parade another man in front of him like this. Have you no consideration for his feelings? Leo shrank into Chloe's side. Chloe, maybe we should just go. He whimpered, though he made no move to get up. I emerged from my room just in time to see the whole scene. Chloe was facing me and saw me first. This is the Cheen family home, not the Cole family home, she said coldly. You're not the one who needs to leave. Sit down and eat. Her father exploded. Chloe, he roared, slapping his chopsticks on the table. Even if you don't remember what you and Ethan had for the last 3 years, he's the one who's been taking care of your mother and me. So, because he took care of you, I have to marry him? Chloe shot back, pointing at the housekeeper. Mr. Henderson has been taking care of you for 30 years. Should I marry him too? This time, even Mr. Henderson couldn't stay silent. Miss Chloe, you can't say things like that, he pleaded. I'm putting it out there right now, Chloe announced. If you accept Leo, you'll have a son-in-law. If you don't, then you can pretend you never had a daughter. What's that amazing smell? I called out. A cheerful smile plastered on my face as I walked toward the dining room. My arrival seemed to defuse the tension. Her father's anger subsided. Ethan, come, sit next to me, he said. Her mother smiled warmly. Ethan, you have the best nose. Mr. Henderson had the chef make that chicken and ginseng soup you like, to help you build your strength back up. Ugh, Leo suddenly clutched his mouth and dry heaved. Chloe was instantly at his side. What's wrong? Leo looked up, his eyes wide and pitiful. I have this thing. Ever since I was a kid, the smell of chicken soup just makes me want to throw up. Chloe's brow furrowed. Mr. Henderson, please take the soup away. Mr. Henderson looked pained. But I had it made specially for Ethan. He's gotten so thin lately. Just get rid of it. Well, he looked to me for help. I forced a smile. It's okay, Mr. Henderson. Take it away. Mr. Cheen patted my hand, trying to support me. You've been losing too much weight. You need to eat. You have to have a soup. I'm losing weight because the cancer is in its final stage, I thought. The chemo had destroyed my appetite. I could barely stomach a single peach a day. Of course I was getting thin. It's all right, mister Chin, I said smoothly. I haven't been feeling great the last couple of days, and rich food like that doesn't sit well. I'm so sorry, Mr. Henderson, for making you and the kitchen staff go to all that trouble. What's wrong? You're not feeling well. No, just haven't been sleeping. A few days of rest, and I'll be fine. Mr. Henderson looked at Chloe's parents. Her father let out a long, weary sigh and nodded. If Ethan doesn't want it, then take it away. Across the table, Chloe was watching me, an unreadable, probing look in her eyes. It was as if she was trying to figure out what new game I was playing. I placed a piece of grilled shrimp on her mother's plate. You should try the shrimp, Mrs. Chin. It's high in protein. Then I served some sautéed kale to her father. Your cholesterol is a little high, Mr. Chin. More greens are good for you. They both looked at me, their eyes filled with a mixture of pity and affection. Why are you all staring at me? I asked with a laugh. Come on, eat. It'll get cold, and it would be a shame to waste the chef's hard work. Her mother took my hand. Ethan, dear, Chloe's just forgotten. Don't take it to heart. One day, when she remembers, everything will be okay again. I used to believe that too, but now I had other plans. Mr. and Mrs. Chin, I said, putting down my fork and smiling brightly. There's something I want to tell you. What is it, dear? I've decided to get married. Before the words were even fully out of my mouth, Chloe shot to her feet. Married? I will never agree to that. I glanced back at her, my expression unreadable, my tone flat. Not to you. The statement hung in the air, stunning everyone at the table into silence. I smiled and explained. She's a photographer. She started coming to my studio a lot, and we just clicked. We have a lot in common. A few days ago, she told me how she felt and asked if I'd go with her to Europe to see all the medieval art and architecture. Silence. We've actually known each other for a while now. I continued, the lie flowing smoothly. She's wonderful to me, she loves me, and, well, I really like being with her. The table was still dead quiet. Finally, her mother spoke. Ethan, you never mentioned anyone before. This is so sudden. I kept a smile on my face. It's because you all always saw me as part of the family, as your son-in-law. I was afraid it would hurt you if I said anything. But I've been thinking, if I can't be your son-in-law, I can still be your son. I don't want to be stuck in the past anymore. I'm only 28. I have a long life ahead of me. I can't just waste it trapped in memories. Her father cut straight to the point. Ethan, be honest with us. Is this woman real? I felt a jolt. Mr. Chin had spent decades in business. He could read people like a book. He'd hit the nail on the head. I nodded firmly. I'll bring her over in a few days. You can meet her. Help me see if she's the one. I turned to Chloe. You and Leo should come, too. You're my family. As my sister and my future brother-in-law, you have to be there the first time I bring a girlfriend home. Chloe's expression was still laced with suspicion. Are you serious? Of course, I said, my tone breezy. And if you approve of your future sister-in-law, you'd better have a nice gift ready. That dinner was destined to be a disaster. No one could eat. The air was thick with a cocktail of emotions. Chloe's parents were a mix of skeptical and hopeful. Chloe just stared at her plate, silent. Leo was on high alert, occasionally glancing at me, and whenever he caught my eye, he'd deliberately snuggle closer to Chloe, putting on a show for my benefit. The chef's cooking was excellent, but that night, I was the only one who seemed to be enjoying it. Mr. Henderson, this shrimp is better than ever, I said cheerfully. It's so fresh. I'll have you make it again in a few days when I bring her over. She has to try your cooking. Mr. Henderson managed a small nod and a forced of course, but the worry on his face was impossible to hide. I set the wig on its stand and splashed cold water on my face. The chemo was taking its toll. My hair was coming out in fistfuls. To keep the Chins from noticing, I'd had a custom wig made, a perfect replica of my old hairstyle. Thankfully, Chloe rarely came home, and her parents didn't often come into my room. Only in here could I let my guard down and face the pale, gaunt reflection staring back at me from the mirror. Knock, knock, knock. The sound echoed in the quiet room. Thinking it was Mr. Henderson, I called out, "Come in." I never expected it to be Chloe. Ethan. Her voice made my hands freeze mid-motion. I saw her reflection in the mirror and quickly put the wig back on. "What are you doing here?" I asked. Chloe frowned. "Why are you wearing a wig?" I gave a dry laugh. Easier to manage. Anyway, why haven't you left yet? Are you that eager for me to go? I shook my head. I'm just surprised. You usually can't wait to leave when you come home. What's different tonight? She didn't answer my question. Instead, she asked, "Do you have a cold?" It took me a second to realize what she meant, my pale complexion, my hoarse voice. A little, I lied smoothly. She's been dragging me all over the place to take pictures. I'm exhausted, and I think I caught a chill. Chloe said nothing. Was there something you wanted to talk to me about? I asked directly. She took a deep breath. There's nothing left for us to say to each other. Then why did you come find me? Leo, she said, finally getting to the point. He's insecure because of our past. I don't want to repeat of what happened the other day, with him disappearing. Of course, she would never seek me out on her own. It was always about Leo. Then let's do it this Saturday, I offered. We'll both bring our partners over. Once Leo sees my girlfriend, any misunderstandings you two have will be cleared up. And don't worry, as long as you stand firm, your parents will come around. You're their only daughter. They won't stay mad at you forever. Still, Chloe said nothing. I added with another smile. And tell Leo not to be scared. I'm here. I'll help him. Ethan. Yeah. This time, I hope you mean what you say. No more games. A bitter laugh escaped my lips. I'm letting you go. What games could I possibly play? Chloe just smirked. With you, who knows? A chill spread through my chest. So that's how she saw me. The villain in her story. The obstacle keeping her from her true love. I was the one who turned her parents against Leo. I was the reason he ran off to the beach by himself. Their inability to be together was all my fault. Don't worry, I said, my voice heavy. I made a promise. I won't go back on it. She stared at me, her brow furrowed, as if trying to weigh the truth in my words. As she turned to leave, I finally let out the breath I'd been holding. Right before she walked out the door, she paused. If you have a cold, drink lots of water. A hot toddy is good for a sore throat. Tears instantly welled in my eyes. I know. Thanks. And please get better by Saturday. I don't want you getting Leo sick. He's not like you. He's frail. The smile froze on my face. She said it as if I were a fortress of strength. But I was the one with the terminal illness. I was the frail one. All I could say was, I know. She left. I stood by the window, watching her taillights disappear into the darkness. In my heart, I said my farewell. Chloe, the girl I've loved my entire life. This time, it's really goodbye. I always got sick in the winter. She would nag me relentlessly, reminding me to drink more water to get better faster. Eventually, she just bought me a thermos and made me carry it everywhere. Every chance she got, she'd make me drink from it. I hated plain water, so she'd find new things to put in it every day. Honey lemon, ginger tea, hot cider, all things that were good for my throat. No matter how busy she was with work, she would wake up early to brew something and fill the thermos for me. Whenever we went out, other women would be carrying designer bags. But Chloe, she'd be carrying a bright pink thermos. People would tease her. You can't spoil a man like that. He'll get used to it. Chloe would just look at me with a soft, loving smile. I want to spoil him. That way, he'll never be able to leave me. When she told me to drink more water just now, my mind was flooded with memories of her tenderness, of the way she used to dote on me. I almost broke. I wanted to run to her, to hold her and beg her to just try a little harder to remember what we had. But I forced myself to hold it in. I was dying. I couldn't let her remember. Not a single piece of it. I gathered everything. All of it. The photos we took, the matching clothes and accessories, every gift she'd ever given me. It filled 3 large boxes. To avoid raising my in-law suspicions, I packed 2 more boxes with old clothes I didn't wear anymore and put them all together. When the movers from TaskRabbit came, Jean saw the boxes. Ethan, what's all this? Just cleaning out my closet, I said. Found a bunch of old clothes I never wear. Figured I'd donate them. She didn't seem suspicious. Oh, that's a good idea. They're just taking up space here. Better they go to someone who needs them. I had the mover take the clothes to a Goodwill drop-off first. Then, with the remaining 3 boxes, I drove straight to the crematorium. The director looked troubled when I explained what I wanted. I'm sorry, sir. It's not that I don't want to help, but this facility is for human remains. These are personal effects. It's against regulations. But don't you offer services to cremate a deceased person's belongings along with them? I pressed. Yes, we can do that. Then please help me. He scratched his head. So, you want to cremate these items on behalf of the deceased? That's right. And who is the deceased? Me? He stared at me with an expression of pure disbelief. I'll likely be cremated here myself soon. I explained. These things are mine. I just want to send them on ahead, so they're waiting for me when I get there. The director mumbled something under his breath that sounded like, you make it sound like we're a shipping service. In the end, he helped me. How do you want to handle the ashes? He asked. Usually, people buy an urn. I won't be taking them, I said. He was even more baffled. Then they'll be disposed of as waste material. Yes, do what you need to do. I paid the fee and left. The director just stood there, scratching the back of his neck, probably thinking he'd just met the strangest person of his life. My original plan was to find a place and burn everything myself, but we had been together for over 20 years. There were too many memories, too many things. I could never burn it all on my own. That's when I thought of the crematorium. I didn't have much time left. I had to start now, erasing every trace of myself from her life, piece by piece. It was dark by the time I got home. I stood in a room I'd lived in for so many years, but it felt alien, unfamiliar. The bookshelves were empty. The desk was bare. The drawers were all empty. Besides the clothes still hanging in the closet, the entire room was hollowed out. Almost everything I owned was connected to her in some way. Now that those things were gone, turned to ash, my heart felt just as empty. The class president had sent out a group text early in the morning, urging everyone who could make it to come. It was a surprise get-together for our old high school English teacher, Mr. Peterson. I agreed to go. In my current condition, this would likely be the last time I'd see any of my old classmates and teachers. I had to be there. On the way, the class president sent me a private message. "Hey, Ethan, maybe you should sit this one out. I'll catch up with you another time." I didn't understand why. But when I pushed open the door to the private room at the restaurant and saw the two people on the couch, it all made sense. Chloe was draped over Leo's back, laughing like a mischievous kitten. Leo was leaning forward, a doting smile on his face, whispering something to her as he held her steady. I could read his lips. He was saying, "Be careful, don't fall." But Chloe was still giggling, practically purring. "I'm not scared. You'll protect me." I put on a smile and walked over. "Hey, Chloe. Didn't expect to see you here. Come to see Mr. Peterson, too?" She didn't even look up, just mumbled an mm. "Don't forget Saturday," I said. "Bring Leo over for dinner." At the mention of his name, Chloe finally graced me with a glance and a slight nod. "Got it." It was Leo who seemed flustered to see me. He sat up straight, the playfulness gone. "Hey, Ethan," he said. "I didn't want to come, honestly, but Chloe insisted. She said I haven't met any of her friends yet, and she wanted to introduce me." He gave a small, innocent smile, as if he'd been dragged there against his will. Chloe immediately grabbed his hand. "You're my future husband," she said softly. "Of course I want to introduce you to my circle of friends." "Oh, right. I haven't formally introduced everyone. This is Leo Vance, my fiancé." My head snapped up. "Fiancé." I forced myself to remain calm, to keep my voice even. "You two are getting married?" "Yep. Leo already proposed." I said yes. "He proposed? When?" "Last weekend. The same day as that disastrous dinner at her parents' house." Leo, as if to rub it in, held up his hand, letting the massive diamond on his ring finger catch the light. He waved it casually in my direction. "Ethan, don't get the wrong idea," he said, the picture of false modesty. "I told her we shouldn't say anything in front of you yet, but I don't know why she suddenly brought it up." Chloe just squeezed his hand tighter. "Why can't I say it? I'm wearing the ring." "What? Are you having second thoughts?" "Chloe, stop. Ethan's right here. He'll get upset." "What are you afraid of his anger for?" "Well, because he used to be with you." Leo's eyes started to well up. "When it comes down to it, I'm the one who doesn't belong." Chloe's heart melted. She comforted him softly. "You're not the one who doesn't belong. I love you now. We're the ones who are going to be together forever. You don't have to be so nice and worry about other people's feelings." Leo finally managed a watery smile and pulled her into his arms. "Okay, I'll listen to you." Chloe held him tight, but when she looked at me, her gaze turned to ice. "I think you get the message, right?" I snapped out of my stupor and forced a dry laugh. "Crystal clear." "Good," she said. "Then please, Mr. Cole, have some self-awareness." Chloe's car was parked just outside. Leo asked, "Ethan, you've had a lot to drink. Why don't we give you a ride home?" I waved him off. "No, I'm good. Don't worry about him," Chloe said. "He's a grown man. He can get home by himself." Leo pouted. "Come on, just for me? Let's give him a ride." Worn down, Chloe finally gave in. "Fine. For you." She looked at me. "I'm only doing this because Leo asked." "Get in." It was obvious she didn't want to give me a ride at all. Leo came over and playfully tried to pull me along. "Come on, Ethan. Chloe just got this awesome new Star Wars seat cover for the passenger side. It's super comfortable. You got to try it." Chloe immediately shot that down. "My passenger seat is for you and only you. No one else gets to sit there." Leo turned to me with an apologetic little shrug. "Sorry, man. She's like that, really big on these symbolic things. It's just her way of making me feel secure." I was done watching his performance. I waved my hand again. "You guys go on. I'm waiting for my girlfriend." A flash of delight crossed Leo's face. "All right. Well, in that case, we'll get going." I watched Chloe's car pull away. The red of the taillights burned into my retinas, but I couldn't look away. I followed the car with my eyes until it was swallowed by the city traffic. Maybe it was the alcohol, but I felt my soul float high above the ground, looking down on the world. I could almost see her, the girl whose eyes used to be filled with nothing but me. The girl who would climb on my back and mess around, who would curl up in my arms and demand I tell her I'd never leave her. She hadn't changed. She was still her. It was just that the person in her heart, in her eyes, was now someone else. Click. A camera flash blinded me. I squinted and turned my head. A young woman with a bright, energetic smile was holding a DSLR camera. She ran a hand through her messy hair. Sorry, she said. The light and the composition were just perfect. I couldn't resist. I raised an eyebrow. You're a photographer? Yeah. Want to see the picture? She handed me the camera. It was beautiful. In the fading twilight, the city lights painted my face in a mottled camouflage of reds and greens. The evening wind had tossed my hair back, revealing a pair of eyes that were hollow but full of sorrow, staring off into the distance. The world around me was a blur of noise and motion, but I was an island of profound loneliness. It has a certain mood, doesn't it? She asked. I handed the camera back to her. It does. Can I keep this one? I nodded. Do what you want. Thanks. She started to walk away, beaming, admiring her work on the camera's small screen. Hey, I called out. She turned, smiling. Yeah, do you have a boyfriend? The girl blushed and shook her head. Why do you ask? I turned to face her fully. What are you going to do with that picture? Enter it into a contest, she said. I've been stuck for months, couldn't find the right subject. And then tonight, just walking around, I get this. This is a winner. Here, give me your number. If I win, I'll send you all the prize money. I let out a soft laugh. All of it. She nodded enthusiastically. To me, the picture itself is worth more than the money. And you're so sure you're going to win? The theme of the contest is desperate hope. The look on your face. It was the perfect expression of that. It was real emotion. It's powerful. Keep the money, I said. Just do something for me instead. She looked confused. What? Be my girlfriend for a month. My brand new girlfriend, Maya, met the family. She was a good actress, and no one seemed to suspect a thing. Only Mrs. Sheen seemed a little wistful. I always thought that when you and Chloe got married, you'd stay here with us forever. I never imagined that in the blink of an eye, you'd both have found other people. Especially you, Ethan, going so far away. A lump formed in my throat. My time was running out. I wouldn't be able to be there for them. Mrs. Sheen, I said softly, Chloe and Leo will be here for you. She sighed. All right, as long as you're happy over there, that's all that matters. Chloe asked me, when are you planning to leave? Maya, the photographer, didn't know the answer to that, so it was up to me. I turned to Chloe. When is your and Leo's wedding? Next month, the 14th. I nodded. Okay, I'll leave after your wedding. It wasn't until I was alone in my room that it hit me. Next month, the 14th. February 14th. Valentine's Day. The exact date we had chosen for our own wedding. We had talked about it for hours. No stuffy church. We wanted an outdoor wedding, on a lawn, surrounded by flowers and balloons. We would exchange rings in front of our friends and family, and then we would kiss. February 14th arrived, and the sky was clear and bright. I wore my wig, put on makeup to hide how pale I was, and dressed in my best suit. The pain was an all-consuming fire in my body. I'd taken nearly a whole bottle of painkillers just to be able to stand here. I knew this was it, the final countdown. Maya was by my side. This is a beautiful wedding, she whispered. It was romantic. It was the exact wedding I had always dreamed of. I had described it to her so many times. I just never thought she would remember every single detail of our plan, but completely forget me. The ceremony began. Leo, tall and handsome, walked Chloe, stunning in her white dress, down the aisle. They exchanged vows and rings amidst the cheers and blessings of their friends and family. I even saw Chloe's eyes well up with tears as she choked out the words to Leo. I finally get to marry you. Then they kissed. Maya suddenly leaned over and whispered, You love her, don't you? I froze. No, we just grew up together. Your eyes don't lie, she said quietly. Love is the one thing you can't hide. Even if you cover your mouth, it just spills out of her eyes. I gave a bitter smile and finally admitted it. Is it that obvious? I thought I was doing a good job hiding it. Her gaze was filled with pity. I just feel sad for you. Don't be, I said, forcing a smile. Between the two of us, one had to be happy. Maya then said, Our 1-month deal is up today. I know. Thank you for this. For playing along until the end. What are you going to do now? Is there anything else I can do for you? Are you afraid of death? I asked. She shook her head. No, death is an eternal art. Come with me somewhere. Okay, where do you want to go? The crematorium. After I die, I said, my voice steady, will you scatter my ashes from the top of the mountain for me? She looked at me, her eyes wide with shock. I just smiled. I don't want a gravestone. I don't want a memorial. I just want to disappear from her world completely. Please. It's the last thing I'll ever ask of you. I practically fled from the wedding. The wind roared in my ears. Behind me, I could still hear the faint sounds of congratulations and laughter. I turned my head for one last look at her, the girl I had loved for more than 20 years. Chloe, I wish you a happy marriage, a beautiful life, wonderful children, and that you never, ever remember me. I stood on the endless red carpet and thought, being a ghost has its perks. For instance, I didn't have to worry about what anyone thought. I could stand right here in the middle of the aisle if I wanted to. I could even sit down, make a funny face, and no one would know. But I wasn't in the mood. Chloe was walking hand in hand with Leo, basking in the envious and congratulatory gazes of the crowd as they made their way toward the stage. It was decorated with all kinds of flowers, flown in from overseas just for the ceremony. I stared at her as she approached. I was supposed to be free from all the pain, but for some reason, an unbearable ache spread through the place where my heart used to be. Turns out, being a ghost wasn't so easy after all. The next second, Chloe walked right through me. She couldn't see the spirit of a dead man. To her, where I was standing was nothing but empty air. I suddenly felt that I shouldn't have come. Before her accident, we were on the verge of getting married ourselves. Going from high school sweethearts to husband and wife was our shared dream, but now, only I remembered it. Those 3 years had changed everything. I turned, wanting to take one last look at her before leaving. But without warning, she let go of Leo's arm and clutched her chest, doubling over in pain. Chloe, I cried out, rushing toward her, but my hands passed right through her translucent form. I couldn't touch her, and no one could hear my voice. Leo knelt beside her, his face etched with worry. Chloe, what's wrong? Are you okay? Her face was as white as a sheet. She was gasping for air, as if she couldn't breathe. The guests started murmuring, their faces clouding over with concern. What's happening? Is this part of the ceremony? The bride doesn't look well. I heard she had some health issues before. Should we call an ambulance? Amidst the chaos, the officiant had to rush down from the stage. Ms. Sheen, Ms. Sheen, how are you feeling? Chloe lifted her head, her gaze landing exactly where I was standing. I knew she couldn't see me, but I couldn't help but feel a flicker of hope. Just like when I was alive, when she hated me, I still dreamed that she might remember. Thankfully, her parents saw that something was wrong and hurried over. They had her friends help them guide her into a private room behind the main hall. I didn't stick around to hear their excuses to the guests. I followed Chloe into the back room. In the movies, being a ghost was an amazing thing, flying, walking through walls. But now that I was one, I realized that was all a lie. I had to slip in behind Leo and the officiant before the door closed. Chloe was sitting on a sofa, looking pale and distressed. She scanned the faces of the people crowded around her, her eyes darting back and forth. Leo asked again, "How are you feeling? Can you continue?" Beads of cold sweat formed on her forehead. She shook her head, her voice strained. "Just now, my heart felt like it was being ripped apart. I feel like I've forgotten something really important, but I can't remember what it is." The pain contorted her features, and she struggled to control herself. I looked down at her, no longer afraid of seeing that look of disgust in her eyes. But I couldn't help her either. I could only watch as her parents, having dealt with the guests, came in to check on her. Chloe, barely holding herself together, asked, "Has anyone seen Ethan Cole?" Then, as if to herself, she murmured, "He must have come. He wouldn't miss this." I let out a silent, bitter laugh and stood in front of her. "Of course I came. You just can't see me." It was her parents who broke the silence, exchanging a look. "Yes, Ethan was here," her father began. "He was just—" Before he could finish, Chloe, who had looked ready to collapse, shot to her feet and rushed for the door. Leo, quick on his feet, grabbed her arm. "Chloe, what are you doing?" Her eyes scanned the crowd outside. "I have to find Ethan. He was just here. Why'd he leave? Why would he leave?" Leo held her back. "Calm down. Ethan's a grown man. He'll be fine. Besides, the guests are all waiting. Are you really going to run out on your own wedding?" Her friend chimed in. "Yeah, just finish the ceremony. You can find him later." But Chloe ignored them all. She turned to her parents. "Dad, Mom, please, someone call Ethan. Ask him if he's okay. I don't know why, but I have this horrible feeling that something's happened to him." Her father's expression grew tense. Her mother, unable to refuse her, pulled out her phone and dialed my number, her face filled with trepidation. I wasn't worried. I had arranged everything before I died. It was time for my plans to take effect. I calmly listened to the woman's voice on the other end of the line. Hello, Mrs. Sheen was taken aback. Is this not Ethan's number? It was Maya, the photographer. She recited the lines I had given her. Ethan can't come to the phone right now. You can leave a message with me, and I'll pass it along. It's nothing really, Mrs. Sheen said vaguely. His sister got married today, and he left suddenly. We were just worried. Maya was a rock. Congratulations. He had something urgent come up, so he had to leave early. He'll be sure to send a gift. I had given her the passwords to all my accounts. I figured she'd Venmo some money to smooth things over. Mrs. Sheen, not wanting any more drama, was about to hang up. Okay, as long as he's all right, I'm relieved. But Chloe lunged forward and snatched the phone. Who is this? Why do you have his phone? Maya had to stick to the script. I'm his girlfriend. I'm a photographer. You can look me up. My handle is. All of it was true. I had convinced her to play my girlfriend to make the lie airtight. And even now, she was still playing her part. When can Ethan take a call himself? Chloe demanded. I don't know, Maya said evasively. Why not? Because he went out. I don't know when he'll be back. Chloe was relentless. Tell me where you are. I can come find him myself. What's so important that he can't even answer his phone? Is he really trying to cut ties with his family? Her voice was laced with fury. This time, Maya seemed to have had enough. I'm sorry, but that's a private matter. I don't have to tell you. The line went dead. Chloe immediately hit redial, but went straight to voicemail. Mrs. Sheen approached her cautiously. Let go, dear. It sounds like Ethan has moved on, and he just needs some time to himself. You're feeling better now, so why don't we go finish the ceremony? But by now, rumors were flying through the reception hall. Logically, Chloe knew what she should do, but after a moment's hesitation, she tore off her veil, pulled off her rings, and unzipped her wedding dress. She turned and walked toward a side exit, away from the main hall. Leo tried to stop her, but the heavy gown was a liability. All he could do was yell after her. Chloe, where are you going? There are hundreds of people out there. Are you going to make me a laughingstock? For a second, I actually felt a pang of pity for Leo. Chloe didn't slow down, didn't even turn around. I'm sorry, was all she said as she disappeared out the door, leaving behind the sound of Leo's heartbroken sobs. Her parents and friends rushed to console him, forgetting all about Chloe for the moment. Only I followed her. I got into the passenger seat of her car, a seat I used to occupy all the time. The car was different, the person was different, but I was still the one clinging to the past. I listened as Chloe frantically made calls, trying to find any information, while speeding toward a place I never wanted her to find. Stop looking, I whispered. Go back. Live your life. She couldn't hear me. I knew she couldn't, but I had to try. I couldn't stand to watch her like this. I was already dead. She shouldn't have to ruin her life, too. Her phone rang. For some reason, I had a bad feeling. Chloe's face, already pale, darkened as she answered. Then she slammed on the gas, the car lurching forward. I was a ghost. I didn't need a seatbelt, but her reckless driving terrified me. Chloe, do you remember why you got in that accident 3 years ago? Slow down. Cancer may have killed me, but my fear of car crashes was somehow stronger. She finally screeched to a halt in an industrial arts district and stormed into a photography studio. I finally understood. Some of our old friends were incredibly resourceful. With just my phone number, they had managed to track down my studio and, using her professional handle, dig up all her personal information. I followed Chloe inside, my heart sinking. Because of me, another friend was about to get hurt. I hoped this time I could do something, offer some kind of spectral protection. Before I could finish the thought, Chloe had grabbed Maya, who was laughing with a young man by the collar. Tell me, she snarled. How did you trick Ethan? You say you're his girlfriend. So who is this? She instantly recognized the man from the file her friends had sent over. He was a photographer, too, a colleague. Maya, though caught off guard, kept her voice steady. Ms. Sheen, this is my boyfriend. Please show him some respect. You admit it? Ethan trusted you. And this is what you do. Without another thought, Chloe started shoving her. Tell me, what did you do to Ethan? That's when Maya's patience snapped. You should be at your wedding. Why are you here? You have no idea the price Ethan paid for you. My name was like a key, unlocking Pandora's box in Chloe's mind. Flashes of images she'd never seen before, yet felt strangely familiar, flooded her vision. She gritted her teeth against a piercing headache. I'll ask you one more time. What did you do to Ethan? To an outsider, it might have looked like she cared about me, but I had learned my lesson. I knew what her disgust felt like. I wouldn't make that mistake again. Maya couldn't fight back, but she refused to be bullied in her own studio. He's fine, she retorted. Go home. He wants you to live a happy life. Don't come back here. In my final days, my organs were failing. I could barely even sip water, but my heart was at peace. I was fine. Between the two of us, one had to be happy. As long as Chloe was happy, I was fine. Don't give me that. Chloe spat, still clutching Maya's collar. Who gave you the right to call yourself Ethan's girlfriend? Don't you ever say that again. The commotion had drawn a small crowd. My view was blocked, and I had to squeeze through the onlookers to see. In the chaos, Maya's boyfriend finally lost his temper and pulled Chloe off of her. Let her go. During my final days, after I'd left the Cheen's house for good, Maya had started dating him. They were a perfect match, both passionate about their work. I had felt terrible about my deception. I told her boyfriend, Alex, thank you for helping me, but I can't ruin your life. But Alex was a kind, generous man. He knelt by my recliner and said softly, You're Ethan, right? She told me your story. I have a lot of respect for you. I gave a weak smile. I'm a dying man. There's nothing to respect. You were willing to give up everything to let the woman you love be happy. If it were me, I don't think I could do that. I'd make her regret it for the rest of her life. I laughed. He was still young. When you truly love someone, you'll understand. I do. I love Maya. Maya was the photographer's real name. You two just got together. Chloe and I were together for over 20 years. I wasn't sure if he understood then, but I knew he was a good man. He turned to Maya and said, Let's take care of Ethan together. Maya nodded, and I have to see this through to the end. I asked him, Do you mind if Maya pretends to be my girlfriend one last time? At my ex-girlfriend's wedding. He shook his head. I'm just worried if your health will even allow you to go. I have to. I need to see her happiest moment with my own eyes to be at peace. Okay, I'll drive you both there. He was a good guy. I liked him. But Chloe's arrival had shattered their peaceful life. I felt a surge of anxiety. I wanted to stop Chloe, but she couldn't see me or hear me. I didn't know how to stop her from spiraling. The scene descended into chaos. Alex and a few bystanders managed to pull Chloe away, but her eyes were bloodshot, still glaring at Maya with pure hatred. Alex gently touched Maya's face. Are you okay? Maya winced in pain but said, I'm fine. How is that fine? Your cheekbone is already swelling. His voice was soft with concern. The sight seemed to infuriate Chloe even more, making her feel utterly alone. The onlookers started murmuring, Someone should call the cops. You can't just attack people like that. I couldn't let her get arrested, but I was dead. All I could do was panic. Finally, Maya's boyfriend stepped forward. What is it you really want? Chloe's voice was hoarse. I want to see Ethan. Maya's expression changed. Go home. Ethan doesn't want to see you. Then call the police and have me arrested, Chloe said, defiant. And you'll have to come too. You have a boyfriend, but you were still involved with him. You must have lied to him. His disappearance has to be your fault. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. Alex studied Chloe's face for a long moment, then sighed. Fine. If you want to see him, come with me. I'll take you. Maya immediately tried to stop him. No, Alex. I promised Ethan. He gave her a sad, helpless smile. At this point, do you really think hiding it will do any good? A promise is important, but I can't stand by and watch Ethan suffer alone. She needs to know what he did for her. Maya was resolute. I'm the one who promised Ethan. I have to keep my word. You two go. I'll wait at the bottom of the mountain. The three of them drove to the mountain where I had asked for my ashes to be scattered. At the trailhead, Maya told Alex, I'll wait here. If she tries anything, I'm calling the cops. Don't worry, Alex said, trying to soothe her. I think Ms. Cheen is stable now, right? Chloe clenched her fists. Of course. But she looked terrified, as if instinctively dreading what was to come. Her face was even paler than before. After a long hike up the winding trail to the summit, Chloe, her eyes filled with confusion, asked, Where's Ethan? Is he hiding up here? I was standing right in front of her. I wasn't hiding at all, but she couldn't see me. Alex faced the vast, open valley and raised a hand to the wind, as if in greeting. He's here, he said, in the wind. Say hi to him just like this. Hey, Ethan, I'm here to see you. Chloe frowned. What are you talking about? I noticed her hands were trembling uncontrollably. Alex looked at her, his expression calm, and explained, Ethan is dead. He told us his final wishes before he passed. He said he didn't want a grave, didn't want anyone to visit him. He didn't want to leave a single trace in this world. He asked us to scatter his ashes from the summit, to let him go with the wind. That's impossible. Chloe's eyes widened. This has to be another one of his tricks to deceive me. It has to be. She started shouting at the trees and rocks around them. Ethan, come out. I left my wedding for you. Stop. Stop playing these sick jokes on me. Even though she had despised me, some deep-seated instinct was now screaming for her to find me. The only reply was the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves. Alex waited until she had collapsed against a large boulder, gasping for breath. Before he spoke again, his voice filled with pity. You don't have to lie to yourself anymore. You had a feeling, didn't you? The moment he vanished from your world, you must have guessed. No, Chloe refused to accept it, but the part of her that had been dormant for 3 years was slowly waking up. Her voice trembled as she asked, why? Why would he disappear so completely? Because he didn't want you to find any trace of him. A gravestone you might see one day. So he chose not to have one. And his final days, they were very hard. He didn't want his family or friends to know. Alex saw Chloe frozen in place, as if time had stopped for her. He decided to tell her everything. Ethan had late-stage cancer. The pain at that stage is unimaginable. He would pass out from the pain in his hospital bed. At first, they gave him painkillers, but the dosage had to be increased every day until his body just became resistant to them. The words pierced Chloe's heart. She suddenly straightened up. Was he all alone? He didn't even tell his best friends. The mere thought of it made her want to jump into the valley below. I instinctively moved to stand in front of her, even though I knew it was useless. Alex's expression grew sorrowful as he recalled my last days. I asked him that too. I asked if he wanted a family member with him. He said he did have someone with him. The person he loved. You don't remember anything, but his phone was filled with old videos of the two of you from when you were in love. When the pain got too bad, he would watch them over and over. He said it helped. He said after watching them, the pain would go away. What videos? Did we? The thought sent a chill down her spine. She looked up at Alex. So he and your girlfriend. They weren't actually. Some things were just too hard to say out loud. Alex let out a cold laugh. In the final days of Ethan's life, we took care of him together. Chloe's shoulders slumped. I'm sorry. I met her gaze. It was the first time since she'd come back that she had looked at me with such a sad, complex expression, even though she couldn't see me. Alex continued, his eyes fixed on the windy valley, recounting my final days. Ethan once told me that as long as he saw you were happy, the pain didn't matter. That's why he never got tired of watching those videos. Even when he couldn't eat anything, when even a spoonful of soup would make him throw up and all he could have was water, he was still watching them. Hearing his words, I almost smiled, as if I could see those videos again myself. How pathetic, comforting myself with memories of the past, right up until the end. Chloe didn't remember a thing, and because of that, she could be happy. Alex clearly felt I had been wronged, so he didn't spare any details. Ethan said he used to have a pink thermos. He'd had it for years, but it still worked perfectly. It always had warm water in it, at just the right temperature. That thermos had been with me for years. Chloe seemed to remember it. Where's that thermos now? She asked. Alex shook his head. I don't know. Ethan just said he used to have it. I think he probably had it cremated. Cremated? Yeah. He said he took everything in his house that was connected to him and had it all burned at the crematorium. He was afraid if you saw any of it, you might remember him and go looking for him. Chloe, unwilling to give up, asked another question. Did he leave anything else for you to give to me? At the worst possible moment, she was hoping for something from me. No, Alex said, his voice filled with pity. He had his own ashes scattered to the wind. Do you really think he would have left anything else behind? I thought back to those days when I had lost all will to live. I didn't regret my decision. When you're gone, you're gone. It should be a clean break. My only regret was that my plan wasn't perfect and that Maya had gotten hurt because of it. She had been a good friend to me. I let her down. All the strength drained out of Chloe. She couldn't even hold on to the rock for support and slowly sank to her knees. So he didn't even want you to tell me he had died? Her face crumpled, and her shoulders began to shake. Alex had always believed that late apologies were useless, but for my sake, knowing how much I had cared, he explained a little more. It wasn't just you. Ethan made us promise to keep it a secret from everyone for as long as possible. To make the act more convincing, he even dragged his sick body out of bed to record a bunch of videos, pretending to be healthy. Maya and I were so worried about him. We told him to stop, but he insisted. He recorded them over and over until they looked perfect. Videos of him hiking, at parties, cooking at home, reading. Honestly, that was the hardest part. I was so weak that I had to rest for a long time after editing each short clip. But I managed to finish them all before I took my last breath. It finally dawned on Chloe. The videos he's been posting on Instagram. They were fake. Can I see them? How many did he make? No, Alex said flatly. He said those videos were for your parents, to put their minds at ease. He made enough to post one every few weeks for the next few years. By then, they'd have a grandchild to dote on, and they wouldn't be thinking about him anymore. Mr. and Mrs. Sheen had been good to me. It was already a great regret that I couldn't be there for them in their old age. I couldn't bear the thought of them worrying about me, too. It was the least I could do. I had accepted it all, but Chloe asked. He planned everything so perfectly for them. What about himself? Did he ever think about what he wanted? Alex's expression turned distant for a moment. He's gone. Asking these questions is pointless. Chloe wanted to say more, but the words caught in her throat and came out as a raw, guttural sob. She stayed on her knees, her face buried in her hands, and cried until she couldn't cry anymore. I thought I wouldn't be able to watch, but I stayed with her until the very end. Being a ghost, I didn't feel the cold. Chloe stayed on the mountain for a long time. The sun began to set, and the sky turned a deep orange. Alex finally spoke to her, his voice gentle. I have to go. Are you coming back? I followed behind them and noticed something new, a few strands of silver in Chloe's dark hair. She was young, not even 26. Her hair should have been thick and black. But after just a few hours on this mountain, white hairs had appeared. A sad smile touched my lips. So, she did feel sorrow for my death. They met up with Maya at the bottom of the mountain. Maya immediately went to Alex's side, her eyes wary as she looked at Chloe. Ms. Jean, you can go home now, right? Your fiancé and your family are looking everywhere for you. Chloe ignored her, her voice distant. He really didn't leave anything. Seeing her so heartbroken, I racked my ghostly brain, but the answer was no. Nothing. It was Maya who suddenly turned back. Wait, I just remembered. He did leave one thing. A photo. I took it when he was up on the mountain recording one of those hiking videos. It was a candid shot. I was going to give it to him, but... She sighed a long, heavy sound and led Chloe back to her studio. From a freshly developed stack of prints, she pulled one out and handed it to her. I had never seen this photo before. I drifted closer to look. In the picture, I was already very sick, but the golden light of the sunset gave my skin a healthy glow. My smile was serene, peaceful, as if I would live a long, happy life, free of pain and sorrow. Thank you, Chloe said, taking the photo. She tried to walk away as if nothing was wrong, but her face was a mask of devastation. Before she even made it out of the studio, she collapsed. I tried to catch her, but my hands passed right through her body. Maya immediately called 911. They rushed Chloe to the hospital, but something terrible had happened. She didn't recognize anyone. 3 years ago, a physical trauma had caused her to lose her memory. This time, it was different. When her parents and Leo arrived at the hospital, she was a complete stranger to them. She looked at her own parents as if they were people she had never seen before, and she didn't even glance at Leo. The doctor pulled them outside the room. There's a blood clot in her brain, he said grimly. It was likely caused by the initial trauma. I've seen her chart. Did the first incident result in amnesia? Her father nodded quickly. Yes. 3 years ago, she was in a terrible car accident. She lost all of her memories after that. That explains it, the doctor continued. Before she was brought in, she must have experienced some extreme emotional shock. Her memory has regressed again, and based on the scans, the intense emotional state caused the clot to shift. Having been sick for so long, I had picked up some medical jargon. I listened as I peered into the room. Chloe was looking around anxiously, and my non-existent heartache. The accident wasn't her fault. I had never blamed her for it. To see her go through this all over again was unbearable. When her parents and Leo went back into the room, I followed. Chloe looked at them with wide, frightened eyes. Who are you? Her parents burst into tears. It was the second time they had to go through this. They choked back their sobs and told her they were her mother and father, showing her photos as proof. Chloe stared at a family portrait, and finally, some recognition flickered in her eyes. Then she asked, Do you know where Ethan is? I can't find him. I stared at her, stunned. It was the first time since she'd come back that she had called me Ethan. Most of the time, she looked at me like I was a bothersome stranger, always calling me Mr. Cole. Her parents didn't know how to answer. Leo, who had changed out of his wedding attire, walked to her bedside and tried to take her hand. Chloe, do you remember me? I'm your husband. We just got married. He was trying to bring her back, just like I once had. Chloe recoiled from his touch, her face filled with disgust. Sir, I could never be married to you. I already have a boyfriend. Please have some self-respect. Leo tried to follow her, but he lost her in the hospital corridors. I, being just a soul, felt neither cold nor fatigue. I could move faster than when I was alive, so I easily kept up with her. At first, Chloe ran without direction, just wanting to escape. But soon, the surroundings started to look familiar. I realized she was heading back to our old high school. Her memory hadn't just regressed. It had rewound by years. She was back in a time when we were still together. If this had happened sooner, maybe I could have left this world in peace, not trapped here, unable to find rest even in death. But I quickly had other things to worry about. Chloe's condition was deteriorating right before my eyes. It was the weekend, and the school was mostly empty. She started stopping the few teachers and staff she saw. Have you seen Ethan Cole? Ethan Cole? Who's that? He's the president of the sophomore class. He's really handsome, plays basketball, and gets great grades. She rattled off a list of my traits as she saw them. She didn't notice the wary looks she was getting, the suspicion that she was mentally unstable. Just then, another teacher walked by. It was my old English teacher, Mr. Peterson. I felt a surge of relief. Mr. Peterson, over here. You have to help her before they call the police and take her to a psychiatric hospital. Mr. Peterson was middle-aged now, but he had always been able to connect with his students. He didn't notice Chloe at first, but then he did a double take. Isn't that Chloe Cheen? What are you doing here? The other teacher, seeing that they knew each other, relaxed and walked away. Chloe looked at Mr. Peterson and asked the same question. Mr. P., do you know where Ethan is? Mr. Peterson knew a little of what had happened between us. He sighed. You're looking for Ethan? You shouldn't be looking for him here. Mr. Peterson, you know where he is? Chloe pressed. I can't find him. Chloe, what's wrong? He finally noticed her patient gown. Are you sick? Did you come from the hospital? She ignored the last part of his question. Mr. Peterson, where is Ethan? I can't find him anywhere. I don't know what happened, but I think I did something that really hurt him. The memories of our reunion were gone, wiped away by the regression. She no longer remembered how much she had come to hate me. Mr. Peterson, realizing something was seriously wrong, tried to calm her down. Don't worry. Ethan is a good kid. Just try to think about what you did wrong, so you can explain it to him when you see him. Chloe furrowed her brow and thought for a long time, wincing against a headache. I really can't remember. I just know he's avoiding me, and I'm really worried about him. Can you please tell him? Can you tell him I can't live without him? Her voice broke, and she clutched her chest, struggling to breathe. Mr. Peterson didn't know what to say. Ethan wouldn't stay mad at you for long, he said vaguely. Why don't you find a place to rest? No, she insisted. I'll wait for him here. He always passes by here after school. Neither could convince the other. Just then my best friend, Mark, showed up. He had kept in touch with Mr. Peterson over the years and had come to find him. He hadn't expected to run into Chloe. Her memory was a mess, but she recognized Mark. She rushed over to him. Did Ethan send you? Mark was my best friend, but in my final days, I hadn't even had a chance to say a proper goodbye. Seeing him now, I noticed how worn out he looked. He had no kind words for her. What are you doing here? Chloe didn't remember her own parents, but she remembered that Mark was my best friend. I'm looking for Ethan, she said. Mark let out a bitter laugh. Huh, you're looking for him? Was his life going too well for you? Did you want to make sure he was dead and gone? I know I did something terrible to Ethan, but I can't remember what it was, she said, her voice and gaze utterly sincere. Can you please tell him I want to apologize? I want to beg him to forgive me. Mark's anger hadn't subsided. He sneered, don't bother. Ethan doesn't need your apology. You're married now. Why are you still looking for him? Go home and live your life with your new husband. Ethan doesn't need your pity. He was my best friend. Seeing him defend me even now, a wave of sadness washed over me. Chloe, sensing his anger, softened her tone. You must be mistaken. I would never marry another man. The only person I could ever marry is Ethan Cole. Her words sent Mark into a rage. He pointed a trembling finger at her. Enough. Ethan is dead. He's dead. Your precious wedding went off without a hitch because his condition got worse, and he's never coming back. Are you happy now? His eyes turned red, and tears streamed down his face. He roughly wiped them away with the back of his hand. I couldn't hand him a tissue like I used to. All I could do was make a futile gesture in the air before turning to see Chloe's reaction. She had already been through so much today. Now, her eyes widened, her gaze unfocused. She started to tremble. That's impossible. You're lying to me, aren't you? Mr. Peterson, seeing her distress, tried to intervene. Mark, what's the point? Let it go. Just lie to her. If Ethan were alive, he wouldn't want to see her like this. I nodded in agreement from my unseen vantage point. But Chloe only grew more agitated. Impossible. You're all lying to me. Mr. Peterson, did Ethan put you up to this? Please, just tell me where he is. She was trapped in her own delusion. Mark was filled with a deep-seated loathing for Chloe now. He didn't want to waste another second on her. He turned and walked away, ignoring her desperate questions. Finally, fed up, he ducked into the nearest building and got on an elevator. Chloe was a step too late, but she didn't give up. She watched the floor numbers light up and started taking the stairs, climbing floor after floor. I wasn't tired anymore, so I followed her easily, staying close. She was unsteady on her feet, and I was afraid she would fall. Poor Mr. Peterson, though, he was not young anymore. By the time Chloe stopped, he was completely out of breath. Stop. Please stop chasing him, he gasped. Just talk it out. Don't make an old man like me run anymore. Mark didn't care what happened to Chloe, but Mr. Peterson was different. He was our teacher. He spun around and confronted her. What do you want? I want to know where Ethan is. Her voice was eerily calm, her resolve unshakable. She refused to accept any reality she didn't want to believe. Ethan can't be dead. He's too good. He deserves a long, happy life. He must be mad at me, so he sent you to lie to me. I have to find him. Her self-serving monologue was the last straw for Mark. You really have to find him? Of course. Mark walked to the end of the hallway and pointed out the window. He's out there. You want to find him? Go ahead. Jump. Before he could finish, Chloe sprinted toward the window. In one fluid motion, she vaulted onto the windowsill, ready to jump without a second's hesitation. Mr. Peterson had been leaning against the wall, trying to catch his breath. He lunged forward and dragged her back. Chloe, are you crazy? This is the 18th floor. I didn't want to see Chloe's ghost just yet. I rushed to block her path, a useless gesture. Mr. Peterson was a middle-aged teacher. He didn't have the strength to hold back a determined young woman. All he could do was scream, "Help! Someone's trying to jump." Chloe seemed not to hear him. She fought him off, climbing onto the ledge. Let me go. I have to find Ethan. From 18 floors up, the fall would be fatal. Just as I thought we were about to be reunited in the most tragic way possible, a security guard, hearing Mr. Peterson's cries, arrived. He and another staff member grabbed Chloe and pulled her down. She was like someone possessed, still trying to get to the window, but she was no match for them. Mr. Peterson, helping to restrain her, turned on Mark. What were you thinking? Isn't one death enough? Mark burst into tears. What was I thinking? I was thinking that it's disgusting and pathetic that she only pretends to care now that Ethan's dead. I couldn't stand to watch her act. Mr. Peterson was speechless for a moment, then retorted. She almost jumped. Do you think someone who was just acting would do that? As they argued, Chloe never stopped struggling. She seemed to have lost all sense of self-preservation, her only goal to reach me. Mark finally conceded that she wasn't faking it, but the memory of how she had treated me still made him grit his teeth. So what? She wants Ethan's forgiveness? Let her die and ask him herself. I knew he was just talking tough. I saw him move to help the guards hold Chloe back. I could only hope she would snap out of it soon. But she only grew more frantic. Even when Mark recanted, saying he was lying, she wouldn't leave the window. Finally, to de-escalate the situation, the security guard took out his nightstick and gave her a sharp rap on the back of the head. Chloe crumpled to the floor, unconscious. Mr. Peterson, drenched in sweat, finally had a chance to talk to Mark. I understand how you feel, but you were Ethan's best friend. You should know what he would have wanted. He cared about her so much. Maybe his spirit is watching us right now. Mark's eyes were glistening. He shook his head. When you're dead, Mr. P. Do you really believe in ghosts? Mr. Peterson was a physics teacher. Of course he didn't believe in ghosts. But to comfort Mark, he said, "Ghost or no ghost, do you want Ethan to be unable to rest in peace?" At that, Mark covered his face with his hands and broke down, his quiet sobs turning into loud, wrenching cries. I listened to him, my heart aching. All I could think was, if a physics teacher could set aside his materialism for a moment, then maybe my continued consciousness wasn't so strange after all. Mr. Peterson and Mark took Chloe back to the hospital. Her phone was gone, so they couldn't contact her family. They would have to wait for her to wake up. This time, she slept until evening. When she awoke, her memory had regressed even further. Her eyes were wide and unfocused. Mark waved a hand in front of her face. Do you remember who I am? Of course, she said seriously. You're Mark, Ethan's best friend. Mr. Peterson, hopeful, pointed to himself. And me? Chloe thought for a moment. You're Mr. Peterson. He let out a sigh of relief. Thank God. The regression seems to have stabilized. See? She remembers me. Let's call her parents and get her proper treatment. Mark wasn't so optimistic. What are you planning to do now? He asked her. Chloe was silent for a long time before answering. I need to find Ethan to help me study. I have finals soon. If I fail, it will affect my high school applications. I have to get into the same school as him. I can't disappoint him. Studying together was something from years ago. We weren't even officially dating then. Just two kids who were constantly under surveillance by the teachers for being too close. But Chloe was always determined. For the sake of our future, she pushed me to study relentlessly until we were both accepted into the same high school. Mark's face went pale. This is bad. Before, she thought Ethan was in high school. Now she thinks he's in middle school. If this keeps up, she might regress all the way back to being a child. The situation was dire. Chloe, sensing the tension in the room, asked, "What's wrong? Why do you all look so serious? Where's Ethan? Why isn't he here?" Finals are coming up. We have to study. Though mentally unstable, she was physically fine. She started to get out of the hospital bed, ready to leave. Ethan, he's in an exam. Mr. Peterson blurted out, a desperate lie to keep her from running off again. Mark, despite his anger, couldn't bring himself to say anything cruel to her in this state. Chloe believed him. He's already taken the exam? I must have gotten the date wrong. I'll go to his classroom to find him. Oh, by the way, have you seen his pink thermos? I just had a dream about him, and he said he couldn't find his favorite thermos. Mark and Mr. Peterson exchanged a helpless look. They couldn't magically produce a thermos that had been out of production for years and was now nothing but ash. Ethan probably has it with him, Mark said vaguely. Chloe, lost in her own world, shook her head. Impossible. I have to find him. I need to see the thermos with my own eyes to know he's okay. Despite her confused state, Chloe was fast. Mr. Peterson and Mark couldn't keep up with her. After losing her, they had no choice but to take a taxi to my old middle school. I stayed by her side, a step ahead of them, and stood with her in the empty classroom. It was the weekend. The school was deserted. Her mind seemed unable to process the scene. She walked to my old desk and ran her hand over the carved initials. Ethan, she whispered. Taking advantage of the fact she couldn't hear me, I answered loudly. I'm here. Her head snapped up, just as I thought she might be hallucinating and had somehow seen me. The classroom door burst open. Have you had enough? Mark yelled. He didn't dare mention my death again. You said Ethan was taking an exam? She accused. Mark was speechless. Mr. Peterson stepped in, continuing the lie. Well, yes, but look outside. It's so late. He must have finished and gone home by now. You should go home, too. Chloe seemed to consider this. Was I too late? She walked out of the classroom, muttering to herself, looking more and more like a psychiatric patient. Ethan wouldn't leave me. Even after his exam, he would have come to find me. Driven by this thought, she headed toward the only building with lights on, the high school wing where the seniors were having mandatory weekend study sessions. She found a right classroom, and when the door was locked, she simply rammed it open with her shoulder. The students all looked up, startled. The teacher on duty rushed over. Who are you? Has Ethan Cole been here? Chloe asked. The teacher frowned. Who is Ethan Cole? The students, weary from studying, took the opportunity to start gossiping about her. Some called her crazy. Others noted she was pretty and probably a wannabe influencer trying to go viral. Chloe didn't seem to hear them. She just kept asking about me. Mr. Peterson and Mark, terrified she was about to cause a major disturbance, rushed in and started apologizing. We're so sorry. We'll take her away right now. She's had a bit of a shock. As they spoke, Chloe seemed to realize something and turned to leave the classroom. I knew this wasn't good. I tried to block her path. Stop it. If you keep this up, they're going to commit you. Please calm down. She couldn't hear me. After confirming I wasn't in that classroom, she moved on to the next, trying every door that had a light on. That night, the school was in an uproar because of her. The world Chloe saw seemed to have changed. She was deaf to the complaints of the teachers and students, to their whispers and stares. She was single-minded in her search. Mr. Peterson and Mark had no choice but to follow her, apologizing and closing doors behind her. When security arrived, they seemed to understand the situation. Mr. Peterson, is there something wrong with her? I think we need to call the police. What if she hurts someone? She won't, Mr. Peterson said with a sigh. She's just not well. Chloe was always stubborn, but now, lost in her own world, she was impossible to reason with. Seeing that I wasn't in any of the classrooms, she gave up on asking Mr. Peterson and Mark. When they weren't looking, she slipped away, taking a shortcut we used to get to the main street outside the school. The street had changed over the years. Shops had closed, new ones had opened. I stood on the sidewalk, feeling a dizzying sense of time's passage. But Chloe seemed to see it as it once was. She walked into the old stationery shop. Ma'am, has Ethan Cole been here today? The owner was the same woman from all those years ago, but she didn't recognize the grown-up Chloe. She shook her head. Ethan Cole? I don't remember anyone by that name. Chloe politely thanked her and moved on to the bookstore, the pizza place, even the hot dog stand, asking the same question. Has Ethan Cole been here? She was completely lost, her mind fixated on that one question. For the first time since becoming a ghost, I felt exhausted. I kept telling her to stop, but it was useless. She was tireless, oblivious to the strange looks she was getting. She finally reached the old diner we used to frequent. The owner had always been bad with faces, and age hadn't helped. When Chloe asked if I'd been there, she thought for a moment, and then, confusing me with someone else, said, I think a young man who looks like you described was just here. But he finished his meal and left. There were always students from the nearby school in here. She was clearly mistaken. But Chloe's face lit up. Where did he go? The owner thought again, but came up empty. How should I know? School's out. He probably went home. If you want to find him, you should try his house. The suggestion registered with Chloe. Her fractured logic shifted, and for the first time, she thought about going home. Mr. Peterson and Mark finally caught up to her. Just as they were about to plead with her to stop, she announced, I'm going home. Ethan must be waiting for me there. Mark, filled with a new wave of guilt for having triggered this breakdown, offered to drive her home. Mr. Peterson, still worried, got in the car with them. When they arrived at Chloe's house, her parents had just gotten back from their own fruitless search. They looked exhausted and terrified. After a quick exchange, they all understood the gravity of the situation. Chloe had lost her mind. Her mother broke down completely. What are we going to do? How did she become like this? Ethan is gone, and now Chloe. Her father held his wife, trying to be strong. It's okay. At least she's alive. As long as she's alive, there's hope. He then turned to thank Mark and Mr. Peterson. I'm so sorry for all the trouble. Especially you, Mr. Peterson. I'll come to the school to explain everything. We'll get her into treatment. No one paid attention to Chloe as she frantically searched the house until she cried out, the pink thermos is gone. Everyone was emotionally and physically drained. They let her search, too tired to try and stop her. She finally ended up at the large window in the living room, staring out at the dark sky. Her parents tensed, fearing another episode. Mr. Peterson, having some experience with her behavior now, cautiously tried to redirect her attention. What are you looking for? It's going to rain, Chloe said. Everyone else looked out the window. The sky was overcast, the moon and stars hidden behind a thick blanket of clouds, but it didn't look like rain. But in Chloe's world, it was a different story. Her memory had regressed to some other day. Ethan is so forgetful, she said, her voice filled with worry. He never remembers to bring an umbrella. He can't get wet. His cold will get worse. With that, she started searching for an umbrella and then bolted out the door. Her father and Mr. Peterson ran after her. Mark stayed behind with her mother. I wanted to follow, but seeing Mrs. Cheen's tears, I stayed, even though I knew I couldn't help. She was in so much pain. A short while later, Mr. Peterson called Mark. I could hear him panting on the other end. We lost her. She's too fast. You need to call the police. Mr. Cheen and I will split up and check the places she used to go. He hung up. Mark had no choice but to call 911, gently explaining her mental state. 3 or 4 hours later, the police called back. Are you the family of Chloe Cheen? You need to come to the hospital immediately. She jumped into the river. Mark thought she must have had a moment of clarity and chosen to end her life. He rushed her mother to the hospital. I wanted to follow, but seeing Mrs. Cheen's tears, I stayed, even though I knew I couldn't help. She was in so much pain. I couldn't believe she would do something like that. I wished I could fly there instantly. When we arrived, we found out the truth from the security footage. Chloe had run for miles, asking every person she met if they had seen Ethan Cole. Most people just ignored her or walked away. But when she reached the bridge over the river, someone, seeing her distressed state, decided to play a cruel joke. Yeah, I saw that guy, he said with a smirk. About 5 minutes ago. He jumped in. Chloe, unable to discern truth from lies, just asked, where did he jump? Her tone was calm, as if jumping into a river was a normal thing to do. The man pointed to the side of the bridge. Right over there. Chloe walked to the spot he indicated and, without a moment's hesitation, jumped. The man, realizing what he had done, didn't call for help. He just ran. Luckily, a police patrol was nearby and managed to pull her out of the water as she was sinking, making no effort to save herself. After a day of running, being exposed to the cold mountain wind, and now being submerged in the freezing river, Chloe was seriously ill. She was admitted to the hospital with a raging fever and pneumonia. She was unconscious, but she kept murmuring my name. Ethan, Ethan. The doctor, after examining her, spoke gravely to her parents. The patient is in critical condition. She has a severe lung infection. If we can't get the fever down, it could be life-threatening. She must remain in the hospital. She cannot be allowed to leave again. Her parents agreed, of course, and stood by her bed, their faces streaked with fresh tears. Mr. Peterson and Mark, seeing the situation, stayed with them, too exhausted to leave. Chloe's constitution was strong. The antibiotics and fever reducers worked, and she briefly regained consciousness. Dad, Mom, she whispered, recognizing her parents. She then looked at Mark and Mr. Peterson, her brow furrowed in concentration. Mark, you look different. Different how? Mark asked nervously. Older, she said honestly. He then pointed to Mr. Peterson. And who is he? Chloe stared for a long time. I don't know, she finally said. I need to find Ethan. Where is he? After a series of questions, Mark finally pieced together her timeline. If I'm right, she now thinks Ethan is in the 7th grade. If her memory keeps regressing every time she loses consciousness, she's going to end up not remembering anything at all. It was the most pessimistic and most likely outcome. As soon as Chloe regained a bit of strength, her first instinct was to continue her search for me. The 4 in her hand was an annoyance, and she tried to pull it out. Her father and Mr. Peterson rushed to stop her. Chloe's eyes were red-rimmed. Don't stop me. Ethan must have been waiting for me for a long time. Let me go. The commotion brought the nurses and doctors running. With her parents' consent, they gave her a sedative. This time, she finally slept peacefully, no longer fighting. Mrs. Cheen had no more tears left to cry. She leaned against her husband's shoulder, her face a mask of despair. Mr. Peterson, a father himself, felt their pain. I know how you feel, he said gently. Sending her to a psychiatric hospital seems cruel, I know. But if she continues like this, she's going to die. Mr. Cheen's voice trembled. What can we do? Right now, the only thing keeping her going is the thought of finding Ethan. If we do nothing, that fire will eventually burn out, and she'll be gone with it. We either keep her sedated, or we find a new purpose for her, a new reason to hold on. He looked at Mark, hoping he might have an idea. He knew he was my best friend. Mark let out a cold laugh. What can I do? Ethan left nothing behind. Maybe we should call Leo. Maybe he can trigger the memories from the last 3 years. Mrs. Cheen shook her head. It's no use. She abandoned him at the altar. Leo was never coming back. Mr. Cheen couldn't meet Mark's eyes. They were her parents. Of course they would side with their daughter. But in front of my best friend, they felt a pang of shame. Mark, his bark worse than his bite, immediately regretted his words. He turned away. Forget it. I'll go home and look. Ethan and I used to exchange gifts. Maybe I can find something from when he was in 7th grade. He left the room. Mr. and Mrs. Cheen, exhausted, thanked Mr. Peterson and left to get some rest. Chloe was alone in the room. The only sound was the steady beep of the heart monitor. I sat by her bed. She was lying so still, her beautiful face etched with sorrow and exhaustion. A profound sadness washed over me. She was still murmuring my name. Ethan. For some reason, hearing her voice, I had the strange sensation that I was still a part of this world. I tried to speak. Chloe. I expected my voice to vanish into thin air, as it always did. But this time it didn't. Chloe's eyes flew open, as if she'd been shocked. She looked straight at me. Her memory no longer regressed, but sharp and clear. Ethan, she whispered, her voice filled with emotion. You finally came to see me. She reached for my hand, but her own passed right through me. I gave a sad smile. You forgot. I'm already dead, but it's okay. I'm not in pain anymore. I'm free. She seemed more lucid than she had been all day. The shocks of the past 24 hours had somehow brought her back. Staring at my translucent form, she choked out, I'm so sorry. I was wrong. I remember everything now. Our past. Everything. These were the words I had longed to hear when I was alive. I never thought I would hear them in death. It's really okay, I said peacefully. I never blamed you. I think it was just fate. We weren't meant to be together. But if souls exist, maybe there really is a next life. I don't want next life, she pleaded. I want this one. I remember everything. I will never let you go again. But I have to go, I said. I could feel it. My time was up. This wasn't a miracle. It was the end. Chloe, you have to live. Take care of your parents. And forget me. Where will you go? Chloe asked frantically, trying to stop me. I don't know, but there must be a place for souls to go. Reincarnation, maybe. I tried to smile at her, but my form was already fading, becoming almost transparent. She scrambled out of the hospital bed, stumbling toward me. Can you give me a sign? Tell me where you'll be reborn? I'll find you. She said more, I think, but I couldn't hear her anymore. The last thing I saw before my vision faded completely was her lunging forward, her hands desperately trying to grasp the fading fragments of my soul. But it was no use. This time, my soul dissipated completely. Mark arrived at the hospital early the next morning. He had spent half the night searching through old boxes and had finally found a Polaroid picture of me from middle school. If Chloe's memory was still stuck in that time, maybe it would help. But when he entered her room, it was a scene of chaos. A doctor was on the phone, yelling at the night shift nurses. Chloe's parents were standing by the empty bed, staring at a single sheet of paper. Even Mr. Peterson was there. Where's Chloe? Mark asked, confused. Did she run off to find Ethan again? At his words, Mrs. Cheen, who had been stoic, burst into tears. She doesn't have to look for him anymore, she sobbed. She's gone to him. The grief of the past few days finally overwhelmed her, and she fainted. Mr. Cheen, though heartbroken himself, had to be the strong one. He followed the doctors as they rushed his wife to the emergency room. Mark stepped aside, then turned to Mr. Peterson. What happened? Mr. Peterson shook his head, his face grim. It's Chloe. She left the hospital sometime last night, and she left this letter. Her parents thought she'd gone back to the school and asked me to check. She wasn't there, and when they read this, they realized it's not a letter. It's a suicide note. Mark felt a chill run down his spine. He walked over to the bed and picked up the piece of paper. It was Chloe's handwriting. Mom, Dad, please forgive me. I know this is selfish, but I think it's the best ending. I remember everything now. Please, just pretend that I died in that car accident 3 years ago. Thinking back, maybe that would have been better for everyone. If I had died then, Ethan would have been heartbroken, but after 3 years, he would have moved on, started a new life. He wouldn't have been hurt by me over and over again, and you wouldn't have to go through the pain of losing a daughter twice. It's too late for regrets now. I'm the one who killed him. Every time I think about it, my heart feels like it's being torn apart. I think a part of me has been trapped in that valley all along. Last night, he came to say goodbye. He told me to take care of you, to live a good life. But I can't do it anymore. All of my assets are yours. As for my belongings, please just burn them all. That was the front of the page. Mark read it and felt a profound coldness. The words were simple, almost detached, but the meaning behind them was clear. She had lost all will to live. Look at the back, Mr. Peterson said quietly. Ethan, I'm coming to find you. Her family called the police, but there's been no news. They think she went to a place that was special to her and Ethan to end her life. After all this time, Mr. Peterson's voice trailed off. Chloe was likely gone for good. The doctors had warned them she needed to be in the hospital. Pneumonia was serious. Without medication, it could be fatal. Mark's feelings were a tangled mess. I hated what she did to Ethan, he said, his voice thick with emotion. I even wished a meteor would fall on her head. But I never wanted her to remember everything just to die out of guilt. Ethan wouldn't have wanted this. Mark clenched the note in his fist. Then a thought struck him like a bolt of lightning. Mr. Peterson, I know where to find her. The valley. The one where Ethan's ashes were scattered. They didn't wait to contact Chloe's parents. They jumped in the car and sped toward the mountains. The wind was fierce, whipping dead leaves and wildflowers into the air. Mark and Mr. Peterson reached the edge of the valley and, next to a large boulder, found a photo they had never seen before. The picture of me, taken on the summit. My face, though ravaged by illness, was illuminated by the setting sun, a peaceful smile on my lips, as if all the pain and suffering had never happened. Mark stared at it, trying to place the memory, but he couldn't. Mr. Peterson, however, recognized it. This is the photo Chloe had. When she came to the school, she was clutching it in her hand. She'd lost her phone, her wallet, everything. But she wouldn't let go of this. Chloe had definitely been here. Mark knew it in his gut, but he needed proof. He called 911 again and waited with Mr. Peterson for the search and rescue team to arrive. The team, understanding the situation, began their search immediately. A short while later, one of the rescuers came over to them. We found signs of a fall near the edge. It looks like she went over without any hesitation. It was exactly as Mark had feared. Is there any chance of survival? He asked. The valley was a deep, dark chasm. You couldn't see the bottom, but it was filled with trees and vines. Maybe she got caught on something. The rescuer shook his head. No chance. From this height, even a rock would shatter into a million pieces. Mr. Peterson, thinking of Chloe's parents, couldn't hold back his tears. Can we recover her body? At least give her parents something to bury. The terrain here is treacherous, the rescuer said. The search will be difficult. We won't be able to go down until tomorrow at the earliest. We might find a body, but this is an undeveloped area. There are wild boars, coyotes. You should prepare yourselves. The rescuer went back to his team to plan the descent, leaving them alone with their thoughts. Mr. Peterson's eyes were wet. What do we do now? Ethan wanted his ashes scattered to the wind to be free. But Chloe, all she said was that she was going to find him. As he spoke, the wind picked up and 2 leaves, caught in the gust, began to dance in the air. They twirled around each other, inseparable, like 2 butterflies. No matter which way the wind blew, they never came apart. Mark watched them for a long time, and a small, sad smile touched his lips. He walked to the very edge of the valley and looked down, taking a deep breath before closing his eyes. "What are you thinking, mister?" Peterson asked. Mark held back his tears. "I think," he said, his voice shaking, "her parents will understand when they see her note." "Understand what?" "That she and Ethan are finally together." The end.